Hello and welcome to Three Legs and a Pigskin. Today, George will not be with us. He is a little under the weather today. Wish him the best. Hope he gets feeling better. But today you're stuck with me. Let's see how this turns out, ladies and gents. Um, Sorry it's been a week. We took a week off. We got really busy. Our sons were in the playoffs for their football team. Didn't end the way we'd like, but hey, it's not their last season getting to play football, so they got that to look forward to. Um, but starting off today, we got college football news. I don't have a whole lot here. But the Big Ten suspended head coach Jim Harbaugh from being on the sideline during the games through the remainder of the regular season amid the NCAA's investigation into allegations of sign stealing by football program. While Harbaugh has yet to be disciplined by the NCAA, Tharmal reported on November 4th the most likely outcome of the NCAA's investigation would be a suspension. I did hear news that he did ride the bus with the team to play Penn State, but I hate when stuff gets drawn out. I know it takes time to do these investigations and stuff. We really don't know what's going on. Man, if it sucks for him. He's a great coach with everything going on. I really hate to see something like that happen to him. But hey, we're just it's a waiting game. Find out what's going on. Um, Next up on docket, I got the Heisman race. So the front runners, the top candidates for it, we got Jordan Travis, quarterback for Florida State, J.J. McCarthy, quarterback for Michigan, Bo Nix, Oregon quarterback. And then we got the favorite to win it. The favorite to win it is Michael Penix Jr. He has thrown for 2,723 yards, rushed for 116, thrown 30 touchdowns to two interceptions. This guy's having a great season. Um, if he keeps going the way he's going, he should win the Heisman. And if he doesn't, man, there's something got to be rigged there because he has done a phenomenal job this year. He's really came out, and like I said, he is definitely putting on his uh, explanation to why he should be the Heisman winner. He's done phenomenal things, and he's really showing out this year. Well, it is Saturday as we're recording this. I'll give you some live updates. We got Michigan going against Penn State. It's probably the best early game that I know going on right now. It's a 17-9 Michigan with the lead, and it looks like they are driving. It's 3rd and 6 at the Michigan 7-yard line with 14 a little over 14 minutes left in the fourth. Alabama is beating Kentucky 28-14, 10 minutes and 53 seconds in the third. Texas Tech's up over Kansas 13-0 with 13-17 in the fourth. The third quarter in Tulsa. Tulsa is down to Tulane 13-21. Arizona and Colorado is tied up. And then that's all that's on for the games right now. I'll keep you guys updated as this podcast goes along. Um, and then we got the college football playoffs. The next thing I want to dive into. So for the recommendations for the Sugar Bowl, they got number 1 Georgia versus number 4 Oregon. And for the Rose Bowl, they got number 2 Michigan versus number 3 Florida State. Now, yes, Michigan is undefeated and are a good team. I'm not saying they're not, but how good are they really? We haven't seen them play any ranked team this year. We all remember what happened last year in the college football playoffs. It looks like they shouldn't even have belonged there. They play Penn State today, which they are actually beating them beating them, as I said. And that's probably their best opponent by this far has been Penn State. Yeah, Penn State did lose to Ohio State, but Penn State's a really good team. This week is really the test to see where the Wolverines are, if they truly are a playoff team. My prediction, I don't think Michigan is better than Ohio State. I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan lost the game, loses this game, and Ohio State replaces Michigan in the playoff. I said that, and they're winning. But I really think Ohio State is the better team coming out of that conference, and I think Ohio State is going to beat Michigan. That's going to be a good game. Now moving on to Oregon, they had number 4. Oregon has already lost to Washington. Washington is close to securing their conference championship ballot. They haven't secured it yet, but I think they can secure. I'm pretty sure they can secure it this week. And with the quarterback, I think Washington would get in the playoffs over Oregon. But these two teams could easily be in their conference championship and play again. And would we see a different outcome? I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, the way Washington has been playing, it's hard for me to pick anyone over Washington. They have showed us that they deserve to be in the top 5, the top 4. They are ranked. I want to say they're ranked 5 right now. Let me check that out for you real quick. Well, before I get into saying something that's not even true. But I know, yeah, they're ranked 5. Washington is definitely ranked 5. Depending on how they play today against Utah, that's a really good matchup. The number 18 Utah versus number 5 Washington. Utah has lost a couple of games, but like I said, Washington is a really good team, and if they beat Utah, I don't see a way of them. Well, they're securing their conference championship right there. I don't see a way of them not making that conference championship and then going against Oregon again. I'm not saying Oregon hasn't got better since the Washington game. I just think Washington has gotten better since they played Oregon, and I feel like Washington is going to win that championship, and then I would see them in the playoffs over Oregon. The next one, we got Florida State, which they have them picked as number 3. Florida State has a couple of top 25 opponents, has had a couple of top 25 opponents, one of which was number 5 at the time, LSU, which showed us how good they are. Besides getting beat by pretty good by Alabama, LSU's schedule has had multiple top 25 opponents. They show it was a good game against Missouri. They played really good against them. Missouri is not a team to laugh off this year. They are actually pretty good. And LSU, it beat them. It was a close game. So beating LSU and having that on their resume shows you that Florida State is a good team. And Florida State beat LSU by 3 touchdowns. In my opinion, based on the way they have played and the strength of schedule, this team has done more to prove why they should be here. A lot more than Michigan and Oregon. Florida State, if they keep going the way they're going, I have no problem. I have no objections with them being in the playoff. Their resume shows why they should be there. They're not just beating your everyday Joes, and they're not just as I was saying, Florida State's not just beating your average Joes, your everyday Tulane, Tulsa, and stuff like that. They're actually, like I said, to my opinion, they are, I would say, one of the top 4 they have projected here. that has showed us that they, without a doubt, deserve to be here. Now, the next one brings me to the last team that they have in these top 4 college playoffs, which is Georgia. Besides Missouri, Georgia has not faced a real tough opponent, and they did beat all of them. But with Missouri throwing them 2 interceptions, they could have won that game against Georgia. Now, yes, I know. Let's not think about what could have been or what should have been or what would have happened, because we know what happened. But besides this win streak, which was way more impressive to last year when they were winning games, this year the strength of opponents not being that good this year, I'm not real impressed with that win streak. I mean, yes, it's a win streak, and it's hard to do, to win that many games in a row like they have done. It's just they really haven't, besides Missouri, they haven't beaten anybody like really big. They do have the toughest part of their schedule coming up this week. The first test was Missouri, which they beat by 9, and this week they got Ole Miss, then a Tennessee next week, and it's a good Tennessee team as well. And they close out the regular season with Georgia Tech, which Tech is not a team to overlook. Yes, they are 5-4, but they beat both Miami and North Carolina, which were ranked at the time. Miami's no longer ranked, and North Carolina is 24th. That being said, Georgia should win that game. I'm not saying the Bulldogs are overhyped, but they do have a lot to prove in these next weeks. After these weeks, then we can say if or not they deserve to be the number 1 team in the nation. In my opinion, at this moment in time, they're more deserving teams to be inside the top 5. Like I said, Washington deserves to be there. That's just one of them. I feel only reason that they're here is because they are the defending national champs and this win streak, which, like I said, outside of that one game against Missouri, it is not really that impressive this year. But they are getting Brock Bowers back. That should definitely help their offense, and he is a main part of their offense. I'm not saying their backup hasn't stepped in or stepped up, but Brock Bowers, there's only one Brock Bowers, and he is arguably the best tight end in college football as of right now. But after these few weeks, we should see exactly where Georgia is with their strength and how good they are of a team. Like I said, I'm not saying that that they shouldn't be in the playoff. It's just, as of right now, I don't have a real reason to even see them ranked number 1 with more deserving teams like Ohio State. I feel like I would put them above Georgia right now. Washington. Sorry, ladies and gents. Sorry about that. Yeah, I would almost be willing to bet I would put Washington over in the top 5 above Georgia, just for the simple fact that Georgia hasn't played anyone. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a couple good games to watch this week. Like I said, you got the Michigan and Penn State one, which it's still 17-9. Fourth quarter, 12 minutes and 11 seconds left, and Michigan has the ball at their 31-yard line. Utah and the Washington, which the Huskies are favored by 8.5 points there. That's going to be a good one. Tennessee versus Missouri. Now that's a real toss-up. The Volunteers are favored by 2.5 points here. Like I said, it's a toss-up game. Missouri is playing the best football that they've played since they came into the SEC and they were able to go to back-to-back SEC championship games. And then you got Ole Miss versus Georgia. The Bulldogs are favored by 10.5. That's going to be a good game there. And then possibly another possible good game this week would be USC versus Oregon. But the Ducks are favored by 15 points. And if you want to compare opponents and stuff, that's going to be a good one to look at for a Washington, how they played against USC, and then look how Oregon plays against USC. That'll tell us a lot more on what we think can happen in that championship game, because I believe Oregon and Washington are going to be the two teams to play in that championship. And then I think that's all I got on college football news. There's a lot more good games to watch this weekend in the college football world versus last week. Last week there was some good games, but this week there's definitely a lot more. Texas is moving back up in the ranks. That's another team that I wouldn't be surprised if they jump Alabama, and if they're not already ranked above Alabama, which they should be. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's another team that I could possibly see finishing in that top 10. But yeah, that's all I got on college football news, ladies and gents. Just moving right along today. Without my partner here, man, it doesn't really strike up any conversations. Everything's just bow bow straight to the point. I kind of like the conversations though, having someone talk football with. NFL news. Let's see what we got. That'd be the next thing. We're gonna go into the NFL. First up, we got Michael Thomas was seen taken away in a police car. According to WDSU, he is being accused of throwing a brick at the car of the contractors who were parking in the street near his house. Listen, I don't care if you play NFL. I don't care if you're some high artist or something. You gotta control yourself. You gotta know that in the back of your mind that the spotlight's always on you. You're always being watched. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You may not think no one's there, but there is. There's someone there. Someone's going to report it. Someone recognizes you. And you can't let your anger get the best of you in this world. It doesn't matter if you're even me. You got to control yourself. That's what it comes down to. And then you're going to have stuff like this. Now he's got arrested. NFL's probably going to suspend him without pay for however long. He's got to face those charges. I mean, come on, man. We got to be, as human beings, we have to make the right decisions to do what's better for us. Because that's not only affecting him, that's affecting his family. And now he's hurting them by not being able to play, because why? He couldn't control his anger at that moment. We just got to think about things better. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Make good decisions, take a deep breath even though you're mad, and let's think about this, what we got to do. Next up, we got quarterback Tommy DeVito to start versus the Cowboys. To start for the Giants versus the Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys were already a big favorite in this. And you've seen what they did with their starting quarterback, Daniel Jones, which I don't believe should be starting. As I've said multiple times, Tyrod Taylor has looked way better this year, in my opinion, coming in for the Giants. Yes, they've went against different opponents, different matchups, but New York, what are you doing? Okay, we're gonna sign freaking Daniel Jones to some big contract and believe he is the franchise quarterback. All right, why would you not sign Saquon Barkley? Let's start Tyrod Taylor. I know he's injured this week. He went out with a neck injury, I believe it was. Maybe wrong on that, but it was an injury, I know. But Daniel Jones is not the answer in New York. I don't know who needs to hear it, but your starting quarterback should not be Daniel Jones. The Cowboys picked up a wide receiver this week, Martavius Bryant. He played in the XFL. I think he had a stint with the Raiders. He's going to add a bigger wide receiver to them. They don't really have a bigger wide receiver. I think their biggest one is Michael Gallup. Not saying he's had a horrible year. He just is not producing what he did last year when he was showing out. He's not where they expected him to be. We got several players ruled out here for Sunday. Dang it, guys. I'm sorry. I apologize about that. Several players ruled out for Sunday include we got Nico Collins, Damian Pierce, Brevin Jordan. I may butcher some of these names. Kamia Farabarn, Andrew Beck, Jimmy Ward, T. Higgins, Sam Hubbard, James Zay Jones, Aaron Banks, Drake Jackson, Treylon Burks, Nicholas Piet-Free. Sorry if I'm announcing their names wrong. Daniel Burnskill, Minka Fitzpatrick, Montavious Adams, Trent Brown, J.C. Jackson, Devontae Parker, Kendre Miller, Jaron Hall, David Bell, Dowand Jones, Adre Jackson, Evan Neal, Amari DeMarco, Mac Hollins, D. Alfred, Happily Fatari Ben Beatty, Duane Brown, Billy Turner, and Chaz Surratt. Those are the ones that I've heard of so far that are to be out. There was a few big names in there that I could see might hurt their team a little bit, like what was it? T. Higgins, that might, but he hasn't really produced much this year. Zay Jones, he was expected to have a big year this year. Mika Fitzpatrick, that one, he's been doing good. Marquise Goodwin, but and then Matthew Stafford said he's not thinking about leaving the NFL anytime soon. I guess that's been rumored going around. I haven't heard anything of it. That being said, this thumb injury, he is. I want to say I don't think he's playing this week, which sucks. I may be wrong on that, but I don't think he's starting this week. He's gonna take a week off. Figure out. Hopefully, we can figure out what's going on. Or wait, the Rams are on a bye week this week. Yeah, he's not playing. They don't have a game. Yeah, I'm losing it today, ladies and gents. Losing it, man. Taylor Heineke is expected to start for the Falcons this week against the Cards. Haven't really been impressed with their starter. I mean, I would be in the quarterback market. I know a lot of quarterbacks are not talking about. You can't trade them yet. But just if it was me, I'd be coming up with a list of options at the end of the year. Desmond Ridder hasn't really done much to prove that he should be the starter. I don't know why you wouldn't have been shopping around things earlier, but you have players coming up like Kirk Cousins. I think he's on his last year in Minnesota. I'm not sure if he's going to get re-signed there. Haven't heard any news about that. I mean, there's multiple quarterbacks you could. Jimmy Garoppolo, I know he's not that great, not that good. He's actually been benched in the Raiders with their new head coach, but he's better than what you got. Or look for some trade picks. Try and do something. You guys have to do something at quarterback. Desmond Ridder is not the answer. If you would have had a better quarterback, I think you could have had a little more successful season. I'm not saying win the Super Bowl or anything, but it definitely could have been a other season could have been a little more better. Like they would have had a winning record right now, possibly. Um, and then we got fantasy football. We're gonna dive into that. I got a few names here, a few I think it's like 5 or 6 that I would recommend picking up. In my opinion, could benefit you this week. Brandon Ayuk. I know he's had an up and down season, but uh, I think he's going to have a good matchup here. He's going against Jacksonville, which they are ranked 16th against wide receivers, giving up the 10th most points to wide receivers, second fewest to running backs. So, so that means basically the 49ers. I'm not saying Christian McCaffrey's not going to have a big day. I'm just saying that means that Jacksonville is going to they're more likely the 49ers are going to have to pass against Jacksonville. So, and I think coming off this bye week, I think they're going to get Brock Purdy's head back straight, get those other games past him, and I feel like that they're going to be able to throw the ball against this Jacksonville team, which is what most teams have been able to do. And then another one we got up is going to be actually on the opposite side of the ball. It's going to be Christian Kirk. Now, San Francisco is ranked 22nd going against wide receivers. And Christian Kirk has been the go-to guy for Trevor Lawrence as of late. I mean, San Francisco is in the bottom 5 on giving up points to wide receivers. Teams have been able to get a lot of yards through the air against the San Francisco team. So, like I said, Christian Kirk, he's got a favorable matchup this week going against that San Francisco D. And then we got Aaron Jones going against Pittsburgh. He is going against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is ranked 25th against the running backs and allowing the 7th most points to a running backs. So, and it feels like that if they're going to win this game, it feels like it's going to be on Aaron Jones' shoulders. Because Jordan Love sucks. He's not good. And he showed us that here as of late. So if Green Bay and Matt LaFleur want to win this game, it's going to have to be on Aaron Jones in that run game. And they're just going to have to run the ball. That's what's going to have to happen. Jordan Love is not that good. And then another person we got is David Montgomery. The Los Angeles Chargers are ranked 16th against running backs. So he should have a good game. We got Chris Olave, Minnesota versus wide receivers ranked 26th. They're 8th most points to the wide receiver. 8th most. They're giving up the 8th most points to the wide receiver. Before the Falcons game, which the Falcons didn't have Drake London, because that kind of hurt their passing game. They were 4th most in points. To wide receiver. So Chris Olave is going to probably go going to go off, have a good game, especially against this Minnesota team, which we've been saying all year, me and George both, that Minnesota, they're not that good on defense. So if you are able to pick him up, I would recommend him for this week, especially if you need a filler. And then we got Jackson Smith and Najigba. He's going against Washington. Washington is ranked 31st against the wide receivers. Smith has shown that he is making himself. Smith has showed, Geno Smith showed that he's making an Ajigba the preferred target. And Washington over the last 4 weeks has allowed the most yards per target against wide receivers. Really, any of the Seahawks receiver core should have a good game and could go off. But with Geno Smith showing in these past few weeks that Najigba is his preferred target, that's the one that I'd be willing to gamble on. But it could also be a DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett as well. We'll just see. Like I said, this Washington just traded their two best defenders away on defense. So their defense is, I don't know if they're going to be able to get any pressure at all. I mean, not saying they were getting a lot then, but with their two best defensive players gone, I mean, what are we doing? Are we planning for the future? It's not a trade I'd be willing to make unless you're getting something really good in return. And then we got Dalton Kincaid going against Denver, which is they're ranked 29th against tight ends. He should have a good game. He's definitely stepped it up in the past few weeks. Like I said, if any of these players are really available or you got them on your roster, I would recommend starting them this week. They could definitely have a good game. And I mean, like I said, the Rams are one of the teams on the bye. You need a filler. Yeah, here's some guys that could definitely help you out. And then, that's all I got on the fantasy news, man. Last week in fantasy, I'll give you an update on my my league. It was a horrible league. I lost to George. He's not here to brag about it. Thank God for that one, because I wouldn't hear the end of it. But nah, it was our players played like crap. He's number 1, I'm number 3, and our players were just didn't do anything last week. Last week was a real surprise as a way of fantasy points. A matchup for this week. I mean, let's see what we got. We got the Panther, the Colt. I'm not seeing anything real close that I would think would be a matchup, like a great matchup this week. I mean, maybe the Jags at the probably the closest game I would think would probably be the Titans at the Buccaneers. The Raiders at the Jets. There we go. That's a spread that's worth it all. 1 point in favor of the Jets. I mean, that's probably be your best game you can see this week. Do I think it should be at 7:20 at night where the whole country's watching? Probably not. There's probably better options there that you could have picked, like Chargers at the Lions. I mean, I know Chargers aren't the best team, but I would have rather seen the Lions and the Jets and Raiders, I mean, besides that, you could have done 49ers at the Jags. That would have been a better game. But, what are we doing, NFL? Y'all are picking the games. I'm just here to complain on. You got to give me something to complain about, right? No. Sorry. Dang it, guys. I apologize again. We can get some updates real quick on the late games we got going on, or the early games we got going on. That's for college. Michigan is still up 17-9 with the ball at their 39-yard line with 6 minutes 21 seconds left over Penn State. And then Alabama is really running away with it against Kentucky. That's 42-14, 13 minutes and 7 seconds left in the fourth there. And it looks like there's 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and Penn State has the ball up, and they're down 9-17 at their 30. And then it looks like we got Clemson's running away with it over Georgia Tech, 42-7. No big surprise there. Um, Looks like the early upset we got going on is Colorado is over Arizona, 14-7 in the. That's only in the second quarter though. With 12 minutes and 50 seconds left. Can they finish it out? That's the question. Colorado's had difficulty finishing out games. I mean, they had that lead over Stanford and let them come all the way back to beat them, man. They got to learn to finish. That's what it is. At the end of the day, they have to learn to finish. Let's get some few more updates. We got Kansas is now trailing Texas Tech by 3 with 2 minutes and 18 seconds left in the fourth, and Kansas is driving. They're at their 20. And then we got Tulane is over Tulsa 24-16 right now with 9:21 left. And that's all the early games we got ranked inside the any that really matter. And then, but yeah, I'd like to see Penn State come back. To be honest with you, I've always been a sucker for the underdog, and I would definitely like to see Penn State be able to put on a case to be in that championship and somehow make it in the playoffs. But like we've seen so many years before, it's hard for a one-loss team to get into the college football playoff anymore. That's why I'm going to be extremely happy whenever they go to this 12-man that they're supposed to next year. So we can see how that turns out. Well, the only thing I really got left, ladies and gents, is weekly picks. Sorry it's so short this week. It's just me and not really any conversation kicked up without my partner here. I really enjoy having him, and he does seem to make the show go on quite a bit longer. Not in a bad way. But we'll get right into the NFL picks this week. We got first up, looks like we have the Colts at the Patriots. And let's see. Colts at the Patriots, the spread on that was 2.5 in favor of the Colts. They're 2-7, which I probably Bill Belichick's worst record as a coach, like his worst season on record. I'm gonna pick the Colts on this one. They're, I mean, it's really a toss-up. You got two. Seems like two of the worst teams playing in NFL this year, and I would probably pick the Colts. That's who I'm going with as my pick. Next up, we got the Texans at the Bengals. Spread on this game is in favor of Cincinnati for 6.5. But the way a Texans quarterback has been playing as of late, CJ Stroud, I think they could put up a fight against this Bengals team. And then putting up a fight could make it a close game. Like I said, Cincinnati is favored by 6.5. The Bengals are definitely by far the better team, but the way that CJ Stroud has been playing, he could make things interesting. But I am going to stick with the Bengals on that game. That's who I'm going with, and hopefully that they can keep the Bengals can keep their momentum going forward, starting to make a comeback and a case for them to be in the playoffs. I mean, they're only 5-3, and yeah, we're only halfway through the season, so they could technically just win their division still. There's plenty of time to make a difference. They haven't lost so much that you should be worried about as a Bengals fan. Like, they're not out of the running by any means. And then we got the Saints at the Vikings. The Saints are favored by 3. Now, believe it or not, the Vikings are still there in the running as well. They're 5-4 this year. And like I said, the season's only halfway over. They share the same record as the Saints. Uh, but I mean, even with Kirk Cousins out, which hurts them terribly, but Josh Dobbs came in with like I don't even think he had one day of practice, like live reps, and he won for the Vikings last week. So he could definitely lead them to a victory here over the Saints. Derek Carr, as I said earlier, one of his receivers, Michael Thomas, who hasn't done much, hasn't really made his footprint on offense this year, did get arrested, so he's dealing with all that. Um, he does have Chris Olave, which has proven, I feel like he has shown this year that he's a more reliable target for Derek Carr. It's going to be a good game. I'm going to take the Vikings, though. I think they're going to get another win at home here this week. Um, and then we got the Packers versus the Steelers. The line on this is 3.5 in favor of Pittsburgh. The Steelers defense, man, I don't know what's going on there. Some weeks are good, some weeks are not. But the Steelers are right there in the mix too. Halfway through this season, they haven't taken themselves completely out. I'm not saying they've played great football, but they're 5-3, so there's plenty of season left for them to come back and finish in a wild card at least. But I'm going to pick the Packers to win this one. I know I said earlier Jordan Love is not good, which he's not. But Aaron Jones, think, is going to have a good day against Pittsburgh, and I think he is the guy who's going to put the team on his back and carry them across the finish line to win this game. And then, let's see, next up, I got the Titans at the Bucks is the next game, and the line on that is 2.5 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And let's see, Tampa Bay. Like I said, this is another game. The Titans haven't really done much this year. Baker Mayfield been hot and cold. Got beat by a kicker that kicked a field goal and won the game last week. Man, I'm just gonna. I think I'm gonna go with Baker Mayfield this week. I think the Bucks are gonna win it. They have seen. I feel like they have been better than the Titans, worst case. And as of late, I mean, yeah, they're coming off a loss, but I think the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield are going to win this one. It's going to be a close one, or who knows? It may be a blowout, but that's one of those games where we don't really know what's going on. You got two of the lower teams on the freaking scale, and it's kind of just a toss up. And then we got the 49ers versus the Jaguars. Now, like I said, the 49ers are coming off of this bye week, and Brandon Ayuk could have a good game against the Jags, as I said earlier. Christian McCaffrey, I know the Jags are really good against the run game, but they really haven't played a running back this year like Christian McCaffrey. I mean, there's only one of them in the league, luckily. You know how crazy that would be having a freaking plan for two Christian McCaffreys? Man, that'd be insane. He's a real great quarterback. He's probably or a running back. He's probably gonna have a good game. But I feel like the Jacksonville's gonna come in here and pick the upset. Like I said, San Francisco's favored by 3 points. This is one of the better games this week that we got going on. I'm not real high on Jacksonville. I'm not saying they're a horrible team. Uh, I just don't. I mean, they may make the playoffs. I'm just not real big on them either. But I could see them beating the 49ers this week in a close one. If they do, it'll be close. And then next up, we got the Browns versus the Ravens. We got the spread on this is 6.5 points in favor of Baltimore. This is one of those games. I think it's gonna be close. Deshaun Watson had a big game last week, and then Lamar Jackson, he didn't have that much of a good game. Um, but I feel like Lamar is going to come into this week pissed off, basically, about how he performed last week, and he's going to have something to prove. And for that reason, I'm going to pick the Ravens. I think the Ravens are going to beat the Browns this week. And then next up, we got the Falcons and the Cardinals. Atlanta is favored by 2.5 points. This is one of the bottom matchup teams. The Cardinals have played good teams this year, and they have hung with them. Heck, they even beat the Cowboys. That's their only win this year. They're 1-8. I feel like the Falcons are starting to fall off. They're not really. I mean, they weren't ever really there, but they're definitely trending in the wrong direction as of late. And I'm gonna pick the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals have hung with teams like the freaking 49ers. They beat teams like the Cowboys, got a tough schedule, and for not having the standout talent. And I think Kyler Murray is back for this game. I may be wrong on that, but if he is back for this game, I definitely picking the Cardinals to win it. I'm gonna pick them anyways. They did lose their backup or their starter to Minnesota, which was Joshua Dobbs, but I think they've got some weapons going on still. That tight end for the Cardinals, he's pretty good. McBride, especially in fantasy, he can have a good. He's just waiting. He's gonna have a big day, and it could be when Kyler Murray comes back. That not until then that he has a big day. But that if it was me, I would pick him up and just store him. Just wait until he's uh like he has a good matchup. And against the Falcons, I think this could be a favorable matchup for him. And then we got the Lions versus the Chargers, which the Chargers are favored by 3 points. No, I'm sorry. The Lions are favored by 3 points. I'm sorry. Another team that I feel like is trending down is the Chargers. Their defense, they paid a lot of money this year during the off season for a defense that hasn't really panned out and hasn't really done anything. The Lions, they I know they had I think it was a couple bad games maybe. I'm not sure. Anyways, you haven't heard much about them. I still think this is the same old Lions that was looking better and are getting better each week. I feel like, and I feel like the Lions are gonna win this one. That's my pick. I feel like the Lions over the Chargers. And then next up, we got the Cowboys and the Giants. Well, like I said earlier, we seen that the starting quarterback for the Giants is out. The backup quarterback for the Giants is out. So now we're having our third starter come in for this year. And I'm not saying he's terrible. But I don't know anything about him. What is he, Danny DeVito? Is he related to Danny DeVito or something? I don't freaking know. That's a joke. He's probably not related to Danny DeVito. He might be. Who knows? And we all seen what happened at the beginning of the season when the Cowboys beat the Giants. Nothing's really much changed. If anything at all, the Giants have looked worse than what they did at the beginning of the season somehow. The spread on this is really in favor. It's 17 points for Dallas. It's one of the larger ones we've seen this year. I think Dallas is going to come in here and they're going to win this easily. Hopefully, as long as they don't play down, as long as they show up, they don't play like they did against the 49ers. I mean, even if they played against 49ers, I think they could still win this game, man. This is an easy game for them. So they need this. They need this victory. And yeah, I'm picking the Cowboys to win that one. Then we got the Commanders versus the Seahawks. The spread on this one is 6 in favor of the Seahawks. Like I said, I think the Seahawks are going to come in here, and Geno Smith and his wide receiver core are going to have a big game. Commanders not really that good. Haven't really looked that good this year. Traded their two best defensive linemen. I mean, the NFC East is looking horrible again. I mean, other side besides Philadelphia and Dallas, that's it. Last year we looked so dominant, and then this year it's going back to the same shit, different year. Just come on, man. Commanders, let's do something. Giants, let's do something. Besides pay someone way too much that you shouldn't pay. But yeah, I picked the Seahawks to win this one. 6. That may be a little close for me. I know it's National Football League, but the Seahawks are definitely a lopsided favor here. Yeah, they're very favorable to win, and I think the Seahawks are going to win this game handily. Then we got the Jets at the Raiders. Like I said, this is probably one of the closest games we got this week. Middle of the pack, two of the middle pack teams in the New York Jets and the Raiders of Las Vegas. Still not used to saying Las Vegas Raiders. But yeah, the Jets are favored by 1. The quarterback for the Jets, he hasn't really done crap. I know they're keeping optimistic that Aaron Rodgers is coming back, and I want to be optimistic with him, but that injury, man, I can't guarantee that he's going to be able to make it back this year. And Zach Wilson hasn't done anything really to fill in. I mean, they're 500 right now, 4-4, but still, I don't see it maybe making the playoffs by a miracle. But without Aaron Rodgers, man, I don't feel like your team's trending in the right direction. The Raiders, they benched Jimmy Garoppolo, started at a rookie. They got a new coach, ended up winning last week with the new coach, gave him his first win. I think the Raiders are going to get his second win here this week. I'm going to pick the Raiders over the Jets. And then we got the Monday night game, the last game on the docket this weekend. It is the Broncos versus the Bills. Buffalo is favored by 7. Josh Allen is looking a little better. Broncos I think they're looking better than what they have been. Now that being said, they're not where they should be, but I feel like they're going up. They're trending up. Russell Wilson's definitely looking a little better. He's definitely looked better than he did this year. So that being said, I'm still going to pick the Bills. I think the Bills are going to have a good game against them. But that would be all my weekly picks this week, ladies and gents. Guess before we get off here, I can give you another update. As of right now, it's 2:13. Alabama's running away with it, 49-21. Clemson's running away with it over Georgia Tech, 42-14. Arizona and Colorado are now tied up with 8 minutes 33 seconds left in the second. And Michigan and Penn State, the one everyone's watching. Looks like Michigan is up 24-15 with 1:47 left in the fourth. Looks like Michigan's going to get out of this game with a victory, which is definitely a statement to who Michigan really are. But ladies and gents, it has been a wonderful week, and it's going to be a good week for football. Every week's a good week for football. You guys tune in here next week. Hopefully George will be back with us, and we'll get a little more football conversation going on. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Y'all tune in next week. This is Jeremiah, 3 legs and a pigskin. Thank you for watching.